Hello everyone, this is Nikhat and today I'm going to explain you SST Political Science first chapter Power Sharing. As you are already familiar with power sharing, today we are going to discuss more about it and we will try to understand it more deeply with the help of two stories of different countries. So let us begin. So the very first country is Belgium, which is in Europe, and it has Brussels as its capital city. Before proceeding further, let us first see its map. As you can see on the map, this is the political map of Europe. Here, look at this circle. Inside the circle, you can see this light sky color country. This is let me zoom it so that you can understand it or see it more clearly. See, this one is Belgium, and in the brown color this is its neighboring country, the Netherlands. Second one is another neighboring country or border country, we can say Germany, and this is small pink colored country, that is Luxembourg. It is also its border country, and France. So Belgium has got four border countries, namely Netherlands, Germany, Luxembourg and France. As it is a very small country of Europe, let us first move to the next slide. Okay, see, so you had already seen that Belgium is an European country which has got four neighboring country or border countries: France, Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. If we talk about its ethnic composition, see, let me first tell you what is ethnic composition. Ethnic composition, or can be said as social division, which is based on shared culture. When different cultures are shared, and because of that there is social division, that is called ethnic composition. So Belgium has got three linguistic groups mainly. Let us first see at them. The first was Dutch. So in the whole country Belgium, 59% of the population live in Flemish region and speak Dutch, and other 40% live in Wallonia region and speak French, whereas remaining 1% speak German. So as you can see here, three different language groups were there: Dutch, French and German, and Dutch were in majority, and French was only 40%, which can be said as minority, and there was a very little part of that 1% was German. But if we talk about the capital city, which is Brussels, here this ethnic composition was totally different. In Brussels, 80% people speak French and only 20% people speak Dutch. Let me zoom it so that you can see it more clearly. Now you can be easily able to read it. So this is very important to keep in mind, that Belgium, in the whole country, the complex or the ethnic composition was very complex in the whole city, whole country, but in the whole country it was different, while in the capital city it was totally opposite of that. Okay, now before we proceed this story or the story of Belgium, let us first look at our another country which we are going to discuss today. See, as you can see the political map on the screen, this is the map of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island nation in Asia. This Sri Lanka also has got ethnic composition which was very complex, or can be said as diverse, as here four communities were there: Sinhalese, Sri Lankan Tamil, Indian Tamils and Muslim. So just look at the map. Here you can see the bright yellow color represents Sinhalese. The number of Sinhalese means the Sinhalese are in majority here, and this orange somehow looks like an orange color. It is Sri Lankan Tamils, which is in the north part or the eastern coast part, you can see. So they were the Sri Lankan Tamils, and Indian Tamils were there, which is actually represented by this dark brown color, and there were Muslims too, who were sparsely populated in the whole country. So they were not at a particular place, their population was sparsely populated. Then let us look at the figures. As you had already seen that Sri Lanka has diverse population. Here 74% were Sinhala speakers. So Sinhalese are actually Sinhala speakers. Those who speak Sinhali, they are said Sinhalese, and they were religiously Buddhist. Then 80% were Tamil speaker, and they were both Hindu and Muslim if we see their religion, out of which 13% are Sri Lankan Tamils and the rest are Indian Tamils. Now you might be confused about Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils, so let me clear you. Sri Lankan Tamils were the native Tamils who were always living in Sri Lanka, while Indian Tamils were the people, those who had who had come to Sri Lanka during the colonial period for work. They were the plantation workers and they worked there, but they did not go back and they started living there only. So they are Indian Tamils. They are called as Indian Tamils. So there are two categories: Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils, and Muslims, as you can see here. And about 7% are Christian, who are both Tamil and Sinhala. So 7% Christians were there, those who were speaking both the languages, Tamil as well as Sinhala. Now, before we proceed further with these two stories, let me first tell you a very important fact that you must know, which is related to our country. Let's see. As you can see on the political map of in India, you can see Haryana. Okay. So I'm telling this to you because the countries which we are talking about that are we are going to compare with Haryana. This Belgium. If we talk about the Belgium, it is just half of Haryana. The population in Belgium is just half of the only Haryana, just a state of our country. While Sri Lanka is just about equal to Haryana. So we are just talking about very small countries which had some power sharing problems, which we are going to discuss. Now let us moving on this next slide. See, let us first see some important facts about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka got independence in 1948. As we had already seen that Sinhala was in majority, its leaders sought to secure dominance. After independence, they tried to secure dominance in their hands. As a result, democratically government adopted a series of majoritarian measures. Here, majoritarian measures means some measures which were taken which are favored by majority. So, as Sinhala speaking people or Sinhalese were in majority, they adopted some majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. So their main aim was to establish Sinhala supremacy. So what were the measures? Let us look at them. The very first measure that they had taken was in 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language. So in 1956, Sinhala was announced or declared as official language. In second measure which they had taken was government followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government job. This actually means that whenever there is a vacancy or people want to apply for government jobs and university positions, the government will prefer Sinhala applicants. So this was their policy. And the third is, the new constitution stipulated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. This means as Sinhala were following Buddhism religion. Therefore, they adopted a measure which says that they will protect Buddhism. So somehow, with these three measures coming one after other, Sri Lankan Tamils did not feel good. They started feeling like aliens, as they are very much ignored, and therefore they felt that no leaders are sensitive to their language and culture, and constitution and the government policies denied them equal rights, discriminated them against the getting job, and ignored their interests. And as a result of this, the relation between Sinhala and Tamil communities strained over time. That means they started feeling alienated to each other, and the relation between them was not good. There were some tensions between both the communities. After that, what had happened? As Sinhala majority was there in the government and they had taken some vegetarian measures, Tamil were not very happy with them, and that's why they uh, had given some reaction of these measures, or we can also call them demands. Tamil started demanding for themselves, and what were their demands? The very first, they launched parties and struggles. So, and why they launched these parties and struggles? They wanted to show their reaction on that vegetarian measures, and the very first demand of them was they wanted to recognize Tamil as official language, because Sinhala Vegetarian government has already declared Sinhala as official language, and that is why Tamil community started demanding to recognize Tamil as an official language. Then their second demand was regional autonomy. Means at that particular region they want their own um, can be said as their own government or their own policies to be implemented. Then the third demand was equality of opportunity in securing education and job. So there also, as which was the second measure taken by the Sinhala government. But their demand for more autonomy was for two provinces populated by Tamil was repeatedly denied, as they had asked that they want their own government, self government can be said, or self um, can be said as their own government, their own policies they wanted to implement there without Sinhali's help, or without Sinhali's interference can be said. So thus in 1990, as they had denied as Sinhali, when they asked for regional autonomy, Tamil community has asked for that, but Sinhala government has always denied it repeatedly, again and again. They were denying this, that they won't be giving them regional autonomy. Thus in 1980, several political organizations were formed. So they were formed by Tamil people, speaking people, demanding an independent Tamil alum. And now, as they were not ready to give them regional autonomy, that they would always interfere in their decisions, in their implementations. So that is why Tamil community started demanding an independent Tamil alum. Alum is actually called state. Tamil alum means state in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. So they decided, as we had already seen, that Tamils were living in the northern and eastern parts of the Sri Lanka. So there they had demanded later on. It was not their primary demand, but later on, as they were denying regional autonomy, Sinhalese were denying them to give regional autonomy. They started demanding an independent Tamil alum, which is called state, in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. And with this demand between Tamil and the reactions of Sinhalas, here in Sri Lanka, there come a civil war. It started. People were not happy with each other. And if we talk about civil war is actually means when two community people are not ready. People of different groups, they are living in the same country and they start fighting, or there is a war fought between these different groups, it is said to be civil war. So these two communities started having fight between each other, and this distrust between these two communities turned into a widespread conflict, and it soon turned into a civil war. And what was the result of this civil war? See, whenever there is war happening somewhere, there is always a loss of property, life, and so many growth and development which had been earlier achieved is actually lost. So the same happened in Sri Lanka too. When this civil war started, it had very bad result on Sri Lanka's growth. Thousands of people of both the communities, whether it is Tamil or Sinhala, they both. Then many families were forced to leave the country as refugee, and many more lost their livelihood. And the third was Sri Lanka, which actually had excellent record of economic development. If when we will read in our economic chapter, you would see that Sri Lanka was a country which actually had a very excellent record of economic growth, whether it is education or health, of anything, but it has a very good record. But due to the civil war, it all lost. They had gone through a terrible setback to social, cultural, economic life, and this civil war actually ended in 2009. So you can see from 1956, which is started, it ended in 2009 recently. And we need to think that what was the major reason for this. See, there were Sinhalese, there were Tamils, there were Muslims, and they could not live together because they had some distrust, and they were not protecting their interests, and they were not taking care of each other somehow, we can see. And this was the main problem which was faced there, and it had led to civil war, which has caused lot of loss in Sri Lanka. Now we are going to read about the same condition, because we had already read about Belgium. There also the same problem, because different communities were living. Dutch speaking people and French speaking and German speaking people were living together. And what had happened there? Let us have a look. Accommodation in Belgium. See, what had happened in Belgium, we had already seen its diverse ethnic diversity, we had already seen. But let us first one more time, let us see. See, look at the map here. This is also the ethnic linguistic composition of Belgium, which we had earlier seen in the written form. Let us look in the map. See, as the upper portion, which is in light gray color or brown color, can be said, light one. In this one, you can see this region. This, the upper part is the region that is Flemish region. This is the upper part, which is actually this one. This one is the Flemish region, and the down one, this is Wallonia region, and this dark brown colored portion, that is, let me circle it, yes, this one, this is Bruxelles. Now we had already seen that this Flemish region here, Dutch speaking people were living, and in this Wallonia region here, French speaking people were living. They were 59% Dutch speaking, and this French spoken people were 40%. So they were in majority, Dutch and Flemish were in minority. There also the same thing could happen, which Sri Lanka faced. But Belgium has taken some different measures, and those measures has actually saved many lives. Let us look what they had done. They recognized the existence of regional difference and cultural diversities. Between 1970 and 1993, they amended their constitution 4 times, which is actually to be which is actually very important, and we must keep it in mind, that what they had done, the very first step that they had taken was in 1970, from 1970 to 1993, they had amended their constitution 4 times. And why they had done so? They had done so to work out an arrangement. They wanted to make an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country, so that they can live together. They do not want it to have a fight or a war, which actually had happened in Sri Lanka. And thus they had planned it very easily, and very we can say they had adjusted so many things, and they had amended their constitution 4 times, and some other arrangements also they had made. Let us look at them. Let me first clear this, what we had done. Okay, now let us move on the next slide. So what Belgium has done is actually said as Belgium model. Okay, so as you can see on this screen, I had divided this into 3 parts. Belgium model is actually a model where they had 3 types of government, we can say. One was central government, another was Brussels, and another is community government. What they had done is they had a very simple way, or very adjustable way, that even if, as you had already seen, that there was a difference there were 59% Dutch, okay, and 40% French spoken people. Okay, now as 59% were Dutch speaking and 40% were French speaking, if they had taken the majoritarian measure, the Dutch would be in majority and French would be in minority. But the condition was different in Brussels. So in Brussels they were in majority. If they could have taken a majoritarian measure, it would be problematic for them. So they have found a solution. What they had done, they had equal representation everywhere in their government. If there are 10 ministers or 10 elected members, so they had decided that 5 would be of Dutch community and 5 would be of French community, and they will together make a government. So they had adopted equal measurement. So equal representation of Dutch and French in the central government, in the overall government of the country. Then and the very important thing is that if special laws to be implemented, then what do they do? That for the special laws, both the communities, suppose that there are 5 members are here. Let me take the pen. Yes, now suppose that there are 5 members in Dutch community and there are 5 members in French community. They both are elected government. So there are 10 leaders. So if they are going to make a rule or make an act, they are going to make something, so they both have to give vote, and according to the majority it will be selected. So usually what happens, out of 10, if more than half has supported, it will be implemented. But when some special laws comes, so what do? They need to get the support of majority from each group. Means if a law comes and they say that let us vote, out of 5, Dutch should give at least 3 votes and French should also give 3 votes. So total will be they will not be taking total, but they will be taking separately. Dutch should also agree with that. Dutch should also have majority support, and French community should also have a majority support. Then only that special law will pass. This clearly means if there are 5, there are 5, and here 4 are getting agreed with that law, and here only 1% get agreed, or 2%, we can say 2% got agreed. So here the total is in majority, we can say it is more than half. 4 and 2, 6. But as French support is not in majority, because there are only two, this law will not get passed. So it is very clear and very simple that if any special law has to be passed, the majority support of both the communities is important. And then state government is not subordinate to the central government, means it was independent, it was not accountable to the central government. The second measure which they had taken was that capital city Brussels has a different government, separate government in Brussels with equal representation. Here also equal representation, and as here in Brussels 80% were Dutch and sorry, not Dutch, 80% were French, and let me rub it, it is not more clear. 80% people were French speaking and 20% were Dutch speaking. But here also they agreed for equal representation, means if 10 people are there in the parliament, or 10 elected members are there, so 5 will be of French and 5 will be of Dutch. Now why they agreed? Here they agreed because the Dutch, who were in majority in the whole country, in the central government, they agreed for equal representation. Thus in Brussels, this French committee, who was in majority, agreed to have equal representation, and this was a very good arrangement that they all had adopted, and it worked well. And secondly, another government they also have, which is community government. Now this community government is elected by people belonging to one language community, means Dutch will have their own community government, French will have their own community government, and German will have their own community government, no matter where they live. It does not matter if they are living to the northern part or the southern part, but they will have a government of each community for some matters of their community related or language related matters, and it has power regarding like cultural decisions are to be taken, or educational or language related issues are to be solved, then they resolve in community government. So this was a very fantastic idea of Belgium, and it truly worked well. Let us move on the next slide and let's see the next portion, what had happened there. See, as they had adopted a very good measure, and they all were living together in peace. Because of that, you must know that this picture is actually of headquarter of European Parliament, EU, European Union's Parliament, which is in Brussels. So they had chosen, European Union is actually a group of many European countries, and they had chosen Brussels as their headquarter, because people here were actually ready to accept, and they were not they don't want to fight, they were peace loving, we can say. So this is the headquarter of EU, European Union. So this can be asked in your exam, that where is the headquarter of EU. So that is why I had added this into the slides. Now let's move on the next thing. See, we had gone through two stories, one of Belgium and another of Sri Lanka. With these two stories, what we had observed or what we have learned, let us summarize it. As in the first one, you can see here, take the pen, yes. As here in Belgium, as there was power sharing, because of power sharing, what was there was peace. Power was shared between both the communities, right? Power was not in one hand. In Belgium, power was shared. It had two communities had the power, and both were sitting together and solving the problem. So there they had peace, they had made some arrangements, there was unity, and interest were actually accepted and not ignored. Then all people had respect. But what happened in Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka was actually not having power sharing, and which has resulted into majoritarian measures and undermine unity, means unity was weakened. Then some tensions were there between the communities, different conflicts were there, and people started feeling alienation. This was all because of power sharing. So, did you see the magic of power sharing? Belgium had the power sharing, it had a lot of peace. And as Sri Lanka did not have power sharing, it had lot of tension, and it lost all its economic growth and development which it has achieved earlier. Let me first rub it, then we will move to the next slide. Okay. This is point. This is an important point to be noted in your book when you will see this picture. This picture, as you can see, it is not a normal picture. See, there is a vehicle which has got two steerings, which is not obvious, no? People do not have in one vehicle two steerings. Why it is so? What it is representing? Let us first see. This picture is about German government 2005. In 2005, what happened in German? There were usually the main government which was actually making main party which was making government could not secure enough seats, and that is why it has to make an arrangement with another party, namely that is there were two. Let us read first this, then you will get understand. This cartoon at the left refers to the problems of the running the Germany's grand coalition government that includes two major parties of the country, namely Christian Democratic Party and Social Democratic Party. So there were two parties: Christian Democratic Party, Democratic Union, and Social Democratic parties. Christian Democratic and Social Democratic, one union and party. These were two parties, and the two parties are historically rivals to each other. Means they were just opposite to each other. Their thoughts, their ways of doing things, everything was different. But unfortunately, they had to form a coalition government. Coalition government is the government when one party could not secure enough big seats for making government. Actually, what happens when elections are held? If there are 10 seats and a party which has secured more than half seats, that means 6 seats at least, it should have to make the government. When it does not have, so it gets support of other parties, and then it can form the government. So similarly it happened there. No party could secure more than half seats, and thus they have to collide together, and they came together and formed the government. But as these were the rival parties, how they would form the government, how they would run the policies, because their mind, their ideas, their ways of doing things are totally different, and it shows that one vehicle has to be run by two different people, and they both have different ideas how it will work. So this was the condition of German government in 2005. If you want to know more about this, you can go to this website and you can find out more about German story. Okay, let us move to the next slide, which is now conclusion. Actually, the video is quite long. What should be done? That I'm going to finish it, and we shall discuss this question in the next video, so that you can understand it more easily, because it is quite long. So till then you can you can watch this video and try to understand the story. You can also read in the book, and then afterwards I would send you another video where you can see the next important point to understand. Okay, have a good day.